Jasmine Pineda has never been afraid to talk about her past, especially her failed relationships. But instead of letting her share her story, Matt often turns it into an opportunity to make subtle digs at her, even in front of his friends. Recently, on 90 Day Fiancé, Happily Ever After, Matt decided to introduce Jasmine to one of his close friends. Surprisingly, he did this before ever introducing her to his own family, a move that left fans questioning his motives. Matt admitted he wanted to see how Jasmine would act around Romanian people, hinting that he wasn't quite ready to bring her home to meet his Orthodox Romanian family. His hesitation revealed how nervous he was about their reaction to his unconventional relationship. Matt has recently entered what many fans are calling his morals and values era. After impregnating a married woman, he has suddenly shifted into a role where he preaches about family values, traditional roles, and moral boundaries. Fans have pointed out how ironic and suspicious this transformation feels. Many wonder if it signals something deeper happening between him and Jasmine. During one of their scenes, Matt opened up about his strict family background and how much traditional values mean in his household. Jasmine, known for her fiery personality and her unapologetic baddie era, is trying to show she can adapt. The Panamanian reality star, who has always been bold and outspoken, now seems willing to trade it all for a quieter, more conservative life with Matt. According to Jasmine, Matt expects his wife to fit a very specific mold, dressing modestly, avoiding cussing, staying at home to raise and homeschool the kids, and socializing only with other married women and mothers. It's a far cry from the Jasmine fans know, but she appears determined to make it work. With reflection, she told the cameras, maybe my Jasmine baddie era has to come to an end, and the Jasmine traditional wife is on the horizon. But can I really pull it off? When Matt introduced her to his friend, things didn't go smoothly. Jasmine, determined to make a good impression, confidently announced that she was 100% wife material. Matt's friend didn't look convinced, and when asked, Matt himself struggled to respond. Jasmine, never one to back down, laughed it off and explained that she knew she was wife material because she had been married before, not once, but twice. She even admitted she was technically still married to one of them. The revelation left Matt visibly embarrassed, laughing awkwardly to cover his discomfort. Trying to minimize the tension, Matt told her it's not a PowerPoint. You're using it as a powerful piece, but it's not. He was referring to how Jasmine framed her failed marriages as experience. Jasmine, however, refused to be shamed. She insisted that her past had taught her what makes a marriage succeed and what causes one to fall apart. Matt's friend sat silently, trying to process what he had just heard, while Matt looked increasingly uneasy. Fans immediately noticed his discomfort, pointing out his facial expressions and body language during the exchange. One fan wrote, Matt is now discovering the real Jasmine. Others praised her for being funny and unapologetically herself, while some speculated that Matt might already be reconsidering their relationship. Despite the awkward moments, Jasmine continues to bring the same fiery energy that made her one of the most talked about stars in 90 Day Fiancé. The big question remains, will she really transform into the traditional wife Matt wants? Or will her wild side resurface and test their relationship all over again? For fans, one thing is certain, this couple's story is far from boring. Meanwhile, another star of the franchise is facing her own major crossroads. Darcey Silva has hinted that she may be ready to leave America permanently and start a brand new chapter. After years of heartbreak, drama, and failed relationships, Darcey seems ready to let go of the past once and for all. On the latest season of Happily Ever After, her marriage to Georgi Rusev appears to be hanging by a thread. The couple has been through constant ups and downs, but this time feels different. Darcey is clearly fed up with Georgi's lack of effort, poor communication, and dishonesty. Fans have watched her patience slowly disappear, and now she has finally said the one word that changes everything: divorce. When she dropped the D word on camera, it sent shockwaves through the fandom. Their love story has been messy from the very beginning, filled with jealousy, financial problems, and emotional distance. But this season has exposed deeper cracks than ever. Hoping to save the relationship, Darcey traveled to Bulgaria to reconnect with Georgi, but instead of healing, the trip revealed even more problems. She discovered that he had been hiding things from her, including a new promotion at work and plans to buy a home in Bulgaria, all without telling her. To make matters worse, Georgie began criticizing her appearance, mocking her wardrobe choices, and throwing shade on camera. Fans were outraged by his behavior, with many calling him controlling and disrespectful. Darcey eventually confronted him about his greed and dishonesty, even admitting that she once had to add her father to their group chat just to force Georgie to pay rent. It was a shocking confession that revealed just how strained things had become between them. Later, when the couple sat down for a tense dinner to discuss their problems, the conversation quickly spiraled out of control. Instead of taking responsibility, Georgie went on the attack, blaming Darcey for everything that had gone wrong. That was the moment Darcey finally snapped. Looking him straight in the eye, she said, "Then don't be married. File for divorce." It was raw, emotional, and one of the most powerful scenes of the season. Fans praised her strength and honesty, admiring her for refusing to stay in a toxic relationship. For Darcey, it was a moment of clarity, the breaking point that showed she was finally ready to move on. For viewers, it was another dramatic twist in her ongoing story, a reminder of why she has become one of the most iconic figures in the 90 Day Fiancé universe. Now, the future is uncertain for both Jasmine and Darcey. Jasmine is caught between her fiery past and the conservative mold Matt wants her to fit into, while Darcey faces the possibility of leaving both Georgie and America behind for good. Both women are at turning points in their lives, and fans are glued to their screens, eager to see what happens next. And with that one unforgettable respectfully, F*********. Jenny Slatten didn't just speak for herself. She spoke for every 90 Day Fiancé wife who has ever had to deal with in-laws who simply couldn't let go. Jenny Slatten and Sumit Singh were once the golden couple of the franchise, the sweet and unconventional duo who proved that love could conquer borders, age gaps, and cultural differences. But now, fans are beginning to ask the hard question, has their story run its course? When they first appeared, Jenny and Sumit's chemistry was undeniable. Their journey was heartfelt, emotional, and inspiring. They faced obstacles many thought were impossible to overcome. Resistance from his family, the shock of their age gap, and the struggle to be accepted in India. Through it all, they stayed together, proving their love was real. But today, some viewers feel the spark that once made them fan favorites has faded. The couple returned in The Other Way Season 7, but instead of drawing excitement, their storyline left many unimpressed. Jenny and Sumit have already tied the knot, settled in India, and resolved many of the cultural issues that once defined their journey. Meanwhile, the show has moved on to new couples, ones facing intense clashes, uncertain futures, and high-stakes drama. Compared to them, Jenny and Sumit's story seems less urgent, less dramatic, and some fans say, less necessary. This season, their storyline focuses on financial struggles. Sumit revealed that he lost his job and is having trouble making ends meet. His solution was to move back in with his parents, something he believed would relieve their financial pressure. But along with that, he admitted he wanted to open a cafe, his dream project that he hoped would bring him long-term stability. His parents, surprisingly, were even willing to help him start the business and run it together. But for Jenny, the thought of moving back in with her in-laws felt like a nightmare. After years of fighting to build a life of independence with her husband, the idea of going back under his parents' roof was heartbreaking. Fans sympathized with her, remembering how difficult that family dynamic had been in the past. Jenny had already proven herself, had fought tooth and nail for respect, and finally gained her freedom. Now it seemed like all of that progress was being undone. For viewers, Jenny's frustration made sense. But some people weren't convinced the storyline was even real. A growing number of fans believe that Jenny and Sumit are faking conflict just to stay on television. Online discussions and fan theories suggest that the couple doesn't have enough real-life drama left, so they're manufacturing issues for the sake of the cameras. One fan wrote, "Jenny's been in India for years. This is the same storyline we've seen 3 times already." Another added, "They're not struggling. Jenny gets Social Security and they've made plenty from TLC." There's some truth behind the speculation. Jenny has lived in India for nearly 7 years. She knows the culture, the customs, the traditions, she's not new to any of it. She's also built a solid relationship with Summit's family, who have long since accepted her. That makes her placement on the other way feel a little odd. The series is supposed to focus on Americans moving abroad for the first time and learning to adapt. Jenny doesn't fit that description anymore. She isn't a newcomer navigating language barriers or culture shock. She's practically a local now. Because of this, many fans argue that Jenny and Summit were put on the wrong show. They suggest that they would have been a better fit for 90 Day Diaries or Happily Ever After, series that highlight established couples living their lives after marriage. Forcing them back into a storyline about cultural struggles and financial crises feels, to some viewers, repetitive and out of place. The criticisms don't end there. Fans are also questioning the financial angle of their story. Jenny received Social Security after retiring early, and combined with their reality TV earnings, many believe they aren't as financially strained as the show suggests. Some viewers think the cafe idea is less about stability and more about creating a new plot point to keep them relevant. Still, despite the backlash, there's no denying Jenny and Summit's love story remains one of the most authentic in the show's history. They fought against fierce opposition, family pressure, and cultural traditions that tried to tear them apart. They endured years of secrecy, heartbreak, and rejection before finally being able to marry. Fans who watch from the beginning remember just how much they went through to be together. But that's also the problem. Now that Jenny and Summit have achieved what once seemed impossible, there isn't much left to fight for. Their struggles feel smaller, their arguments less urgent, and their challenges more familiar. Jenny still insists on living life her way, often clashing with traditional expectations. Summit continues to balance his parents' wishes with his commitment to his wife. It's the same cycle, repeating over and over again. For some fans, this repetition is frustrating. They want fresh stories, new conflicts, and the sense of unpredictability that originally made the show so compelling. For others, though, Jenny and Summit still represent something meaningful. Their love is real, their bond is genuine, and watching them navigate the quieter parts of married life offers a comfort that new couples often can't provide. Not every story has to be explosive to be worth watching. Maybe Jenny and Summit's time on the other way has passed, but that doesn't mean their journey has no value. Some fans argue that their story now shows what happens after the drama fades, when the fairy tale is over and real life begins. Watching them laugh together, face financial decisions, and deal with everyday challenges might not be as intense as secret marriages or explosive confrontations, but it is a reminder that love can last beyond the chaos. In the end, Jenny and Summit's place in the 90 Day Fiancé universe is complicated. They were once the ultimate underdogs, a couple no one believed in who proved everyone wrong. Now, they are veterans of the franchise, still in love but running out of storylines. Fans are divided. Some say it's time for them to move on from the franchise, while others are happy to keep seeing their familiar faces. Jenny and Summit may not bring the same level of high-stakes drama anymore, but perhaps their story was never about that in the first place. Maybe it's about showing what love looks like when the obstacles are overcome, when family finally accepts, and when the real work of building a life together begins. Whether fans are bored or comforted by their return, one thing is clear. Jenny and Summit have already secured their place as one of 90 Day Fiancé's most iconic couples. So what comes next? Will they continue trying to create drama to stay on air? Or will they step away from the franchise to live their lives off camera? Whatever they decide, their journey has already left a mark. Love, after all, doesn't always need fireworks to matter. Sometimes it's the quiet persistence, the day-to-day resilience, and the small victories that prove a relationship is worth it. Darcey Silva is no longer the woman who cries quietly and hopes things will magically change. She is now standing her ground, determined to protect her peace, even if it means walking away for good. After a heated confrontation with Georgie, Darcey added more fuel to breakup rumors by posting a cryptic message on Instagram. She shared a glamorous photo of herself in a white printed gown with a deep neckline, radiating confidence and self-love. The caption was simple, Darcey's journey. In that post, she teased her fans with a question that left everyone buzzing. Which country should she move to next? Ready for my new journey, she wrote, sparking speculation that she might be preparing to leave the United States entirely. Whether it's a permanent move or just an extended trip, fans can't help but wonder if Darcey is ready for a total reset. With her marriage to Georgie seemingly falling apart and her focus turning inward toward growth and independence, a fresh start abroad doesn't sound so far-fetched. Darcey still runs her fashion brand, House of 11, with her twin sister, Stacey. The two have been through almost everything together: failed romances, financial pressure, family struggles, but they always find a way to come out stronger. Recently, the sisters even underwent breast reduction surgery, another step that shows they're prioritizing self-care and change this year. Fans are keeping a close eye on Darcey, wondering if she's about to start over in a completely new country or rebuild her life in the U.S. Either way, one thing is certain: Darcey Silva is finally choosing herself. After years of heartbreak and disappointment, she's reclaiming her independence and writing her story on her own terms. This time, it's not about love or validation. It's about peace, happiness, and a fresh start. Meanwhile, Julia Trepkina has also reached her breaking point. After years of putting up with her in-laws' controlling behavior, she finally snapped. The 90-Day Fiancé star, known for her fiery personality, delivered what might be the most unforgettable mic drop in the show's history. And yes, it involved the F word. But in true Julia fashion, she managed to make it sound powerful rather than vulgar. After years of tension with Brandon's parents, Ron and Betty, Julia decided she had enough. Looking into the cameras, she calmly declared, respectfully, F*** you. That single line instantly went viral. Fans across social media called it long overdue and the most satisfying moment of the season. Viewers felt Julia had spoken not just for herself, but for every spouse who has ever had to deal with in-laws who simply couldn't let go. But while Julia stood strong, fans couldn't help but ask, where was Brandon in all this? Did he finally defend his wife, or did he allow his parents to control the situation yet again? For 4 years, viewers have watched Brandon's parents meddle in nearly every aspect of their son's life. From the moment Julia arrived in the U.S., Ron and Betty tried to dictate everything, from where she and Brandon lived to what jobs they worked, and even what they could and couldn't do in their own home. Brandon, caught in the middle, never seemed brave enough to fully separate from his parents' grip. Julia, however, wanted independence, privacy, and the freedom to live life with her husband without interference. Instead, she found herself fighting against Ron and Betty's overbearing ways time and time again. The tension had built for years, and in a recent episode, Julia finally decided enough was enough. She confronted Betty directly, saying she couldn't keep a permanent room in their house and needed to spend more time focusing on her own home with Brandon. It was her way of politely but firmly setting boundaries. Julia made it clear that she was done letting her in-laws intrude on her marriage. But the confrontation escalated quickly. Ron accused Julia of driving a wedge between him and Brandon, blaming her for the distance growing in their family. Betty jumped in, claiming she didn't even recognize her son anymore, and that she had no idea who he had become since marrying Julia. But in reality, the reason they no longer recognized him was simple. Brandon was finally listening to his wife instead of letting his parents control his every move. Julia refused to take the blame for everything wrong in their family. Calm but fierce, she delivered her iconic line, respectfully, F*** you. It was raw, it was bold, and it was the breaking point of years of frustration. Fans everywhere erupted with cheers. They saw it as a moment of liberation, the kind of statement many people wish they could deliver to in-laws who overstep. Julia then told Ron and Betty to step back from her marriage, making it clear that she and Brandon needed to build their own life together without interference. Of course, Betty couldn't help herself. She asked Julia why she didn't just go back home if she wasn't happy, a cruel remark that didn't go unnoticed by viewers. Fans immediately called it out as unnecessary and below the belt. But the bigger question remained, what about Brandon? During this explosive confrontation, Brandon did what many feared he would do: nothing. Instead of standing up for Julia or setting boundaries with his parents, he froze. He sat on the floor, looking overwhelmed and emotional. At one point, he appeared to tear up, completely unable to process what was happening in front of him. Fans were furious. Social media exploded with criticism toward Brandon for letting his wife fight his battles alone. One fan tweeted, "He's crying like a baby instead of acting like a husband." Another wrote, "Julia's out there fighting alone while Brandon's curled up on the floor. Unbelievable." But others praised Julia for finally asserting herself. They pointed out that she had been patient for years, tolerating constant interference and judgment, and this outburst was simply long overdue. For them, it wasn't disrespect. It was Julia reclaiming her voice. Now, the big question is whether this confrontation will finally open Brandon's eyes. Will he recognize the toxic cycle he's caught in and finally choose his wife over his parents? Or will he continue to let Ron and Betty dictate the terms of his marriage, pushing Julia further away? Whatever the outcome, one thing is clear. Julia Trpkina is not the same woman she was when she first came to America. She's no longer the quiet newcomer trying to keep the peace. She is a woman setting boundaries, reclaiming her power, and refusing to be walked over again. Between Darcey Silva and Julia Trpkina, fans are witnessing two women in the 90-Day Fiancé universe redefine themselves. Darcey is stepping into a new chapter, ready to leave behind heartbreak and drama in exchange for self-love and independence. Julia is standing tall, facing her in-laws with fearless honesty and demanding the respect she deserves. Both women are proving that sometimes the real story isn't about love or romance. It's about finding your voice, taking back your power, and choosing yourself. After Julia's explosive confrontation, the fallout was immediate. Fans online could not stop talking about the now iconic respectfully F****** moment. For some, it was the boldest declaration of independence in the franchise's history. For others, it marked the beginning of the end for Julia's already fragile relationship with Brandon's family. Either way, the episode became one of the most talked about moments of the season. Social media lit up with commentary. Memes of Julia's line spread quickly across Twitter, TikTok, and Instagram. Some fans edited her words into clips set to dramatic music, praising her for finally taking a stand. Others joked that the phrase should be printed on t-shirts as a rallying cry for 90-Day Fiancé spouses everywhere. Julia had, intentionally or not, become a symbol of empowerment for people who felt smothered by overbearing in-laws. But while Julia was celebrated, Brandon faced the opposite reaction. Fans were brutal in their criticism. Many accused him of being passive, weak, and unwilling to defend the woman he promised to protect. "Julia's not fighting Betty and Ron anymore," one fan wrote. "She's fighting them in Brandon's silence." Another pointed out that Brandon's inability to speak up was exactly why his parents still believed they had control over his life. The pressure on him has never been greater. Viewers now expect him to either stand up for Julia or risk losing her completely. Meanwhile, Darcey Silva's journey has taken a completely different turn. While Julia is locked in a battle with her in-laws, Darcey is focusing on herself like never before. After hinting about divorce, she continues to spark speculation with her social media activity. Each post feels like a message to both fans and critics. She is no longer living for anyone else's approval. Her cryptic Instagram caption, "Darcey's Journey," wasn't just a tease, it was a declaration. By asking fans which country she should move to next, she signaled that she is ready to leave her past behind, not just emotionally, but physically. Could she really leave the US for good? Some fans believe she's serious, pointing to her long history of international relationships. Others think it might be a fresh storyline, a way to keep her brand strong while exploring new opportunities abroad. Whatever her true plans are, Darcey has successfully shifted the conversation away from Georgie and onto herself. Her fashion brand, House of 11, is also a reminder of how far she and her sister Stacey have come. Despite their constant ups and downs in love, the twins have built a business that continues to grow. Their decision to undergo breast reduction surgery together was another turning point, showing that they are focusing on health, balance, and longevity rather than trying to fit into old beauty standards. Fans admired the move, calling it an act of maturity and self-awareness. For Darcey, It symbolized shedding the past, physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Julia, meanwhile, faces an uncertain future with Brandon. While her clapback against his parents won her the admiration of fans, it also deepened the divide in the family. Ron and Betty reportedly feel more alienated than ever, claiming that Julia is tearing their family apart. For Julia, though, the situation is clear. She is fighting for her marriage and her independence. She wants Brandon to build a life with her, not with his parents still looming over every decision. The real question is whether Brandon can step up. In-laws are a challenge in many marriages, but on national television, every misstep is amplified. Fans are waiting to see if he'll finally assert himself or continue to stay in the background while Julia takes the heat. His silence is no longer seen as neutrality. It's seen as complicity. And that could cost him dearly. Darcey, in contrast, is finally free of that dynamic. Her years of crying, begging, and hoping for men to change are over. She has embraced a new version of herself, one that no longer needs validation from a partner to feel worthy. Her cryptic hints about moving abroad might signal a real change, or they might be a way to test the waters with her fans. Either way, she is steering the narrative of her own story. For the first time in years, it feels like Darcey is not defined by heartbreak, but by her resilience and her drive to reinvent herself. Fans of the franchise are fascinated by the parallel journeys. Julia is standing up to her in-laws, fighting to claim her marriage as her own, while Darcey is stepping into a new chapter, walking away from a broken relationship and choosing herself. Both stories highlight a theme that resonates with viewers: the struggle of women to claim their power in relationships that have tried to silence them. What makes these stories so captivating is how different the outcomes might be. Julia could succeed in getting Brandon to finally set boundaries with his parents, creating a stronger marriage in the process. Or she could reach her breaking point and decide that love isn't enough if it comes with constant interference. Darcey could leave America, start fresh, and find a new version of happiness. Or she might stay and focus on building her career while embracing single life. The fan reactions show just how invested people are in these women's futures. Some viewers root for Julia and Brandon, hoping they can finally build a life free of parental control. Others think Julia deserves better and should leave if Brandon can't grow up. With Darcey, fans are torn between wanting her to find new love and admiring her decision to put herself first. In both cases, one thing is certain: the drama is far from over. Julia's showdown with Ron and Betty will have lasting consequences, not just for her marriage, but for her place in the franchise. Darcey's cryptic posts and bold moves suggest her story is just beginning again, in an entirely new way. For longtime 90 Day Fiancé fans, these arcs represent why the franchise remains so addictive. It's not just about love. It's about power, identity, family, and the endless question of whether love can survive the weight of outside pressures. Julia and Darcey are proving that sometimes the most powerful stories aren't about finding love, but about finding yourself. Whether it's Julia saying respectfully, F*** you, to her in-laws, or Darcey posting Darcey's journey while teasing a move abroad, both women are reminding viewers that no matter how messy relationships get, the real victory comes from choosing your own path.